Hi everyone, good morning or good afternoon or good evening. Welcome back. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to divide complex numbers. Okay, right now, when you're dividing two complex numbers, they are not any more complex number. Why? Because they're not written in the form of a plus bi anymore. Again, you can see here you have I in the denominator and you cannot have the I in the denominator. So you have to fix it. What do we do? Okay, let me show you the steps. So step one, you're going to multiply the numerator and the denominator by the complex conjugate of the denominator. So I made a video explaining what is a complex conjugate. Basically, complex conjugate have the same real part but opposite imaginary part. Okay, so you're going to use a complex conjugate of the divisor or the denominator, which is right here. Okay, so the complex conjugate of 2 plus 3i is going to be what? Okay, is going to be 2 minus 3i. Again, they have the same real part but opposite imaginary part. Okay, so now after we multiply top and bottom by 2 minus 3i, you're going to simplify. Okay, if you need to combine any like terms and substitute I squared with -1. Let me repeat. You'll need to substitute I squared with -1. And then step 3, you're going to simplify and write in the form of a plus bi. Okay, you need to always write in the form of a plus bi. Okay, so let's do this then. Okay, so step 1, so this is the division problem. So I'm going to multiply it. Let me change color. Okay, so I'm going to multiply with the complex conjugate of the denominator. The denominator is 2 plus 3i, so its complex conjugate is going to be 2 minus 3i, and I'm going to do that also in the numerator, 2 minus 3i, and then include the parentheses, okay, because we are multiplying more than one term. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, so then you want to multiply the numerators together and the denominators together. So let me start with the numerator. Okay, so you can use either the box method, like I shown you in my previous videos, or you can use the distributive property. Okay, so for the numerator, I'm going to use the box. The numerator, I'm going to use the box method, and for the denominator, I'm going to use the distributive property. So you can see both ways. Okay, but make sure you use one way. But since I want to show you both ways, so numerator, let's do the box method. Okay. So how do we do this then? So you have to do the box first. Okay, so we are given the factor. So here I'm going to write 4 and minus I, 4 minus 5i, and here is going to be 2 minus 3i, and then you're going to multiply. So 4 times 2 is 8. Okay, 4 times negative 3i is negative 12i. Okay, and then 5i times negative 5i times 2 is negative 10i. Okay, let's continue. So negative times negative is going to be a positive. 5 times 5 is going to be 15. I times I is going to be I square. I square. It cannot be just I, it has to be I square. And whatever is in the denominator, I mean in the box, I'm going to rewrite it over here. So I'm going to have end up with 8 minus 12i, okay, minus 10i plus 15i square. So I hope you can tell, okay, we can combine. So there are two terms you can combine. Let me adjust. So there are two terms you can combine right here, which is going to be negative 12i and negative 10i that add up to, okay, okay, so that add up to negative 22. So let me add those two terms together. Because they are like terms, they end up with the same variable I, or the imaginary unit I here. So it should be negative 22i, and then plus 15. Alert, alert, alert. Remember, okay, we need to replace what? So you need to substitute, you have to substitute I squared with -1. So this is 15 times I squared. So I'm going to replace the 15, so times with the -1. So that's what I'm doing right here, okay? Then I'm going to end up again with 8 minus 22i So positive 15 times negative 1 is going to be negative 15. Okay, so now let's do this. So you're going to combine like terms. So I'm going to again to combine what, 8 and negative 15. So 8, let me use it. So I'm going to combine 8 and negative 15 and add up to what number? So they add up to negative 7, and I'm bring the negative 22i. Always write in the form of a plus bi. And that's the numerator. So let me write the numerator right here. So it's going to be negative 7 minus 22i over. So let's multiply the denominator next. Okay. So let's do that. So for the denominator, I'm going to use the distributive property. Okay, so for the distributive property, let me write the product. So we have 2 plus 3i times 2 minus 3i. Okay, so let's multiply. 2 times 2 is going to be 4. 2 times 3, negative 3i is going to be negative 6i. And then let's multiply the other 3i times 2 is going to be positive 6i, and 3i. So okay, negative times the sorry, positive times the negative is a negative. Okay, 3 times 3 is 9. Okay, I times I is I squared. Okay, so I hope you can now see that those two middle terms are opposite of each other, so they can be cancelled out. Right, so you end up with 4 cancel out to 0, and you're left with minus 9. And remember, substitute I squared with negative 1. Okay, so make sure you always replace the I squared with negative 1. So let me rewrite that. So you're replacing I squared with negative 1. Okay, so you end up with 4 plus 9, and 4 plus 9 is 13. So we found the numerator, which was negative 7 minus 22i, and I wrote that above here. And the denominator is positive 13. Then I'm going to write over here. So now, always write, don't leave it like this. Always write the, so you will always want to write in the form of the fraction in the form of a plus bi. So you want to identify the real part and the imaginary part. So I can split the fraction in two. So it's going to be negative 7 over 13, okay, minus 22 over 13i. And that's your final answer. Okay. So sometimes you have to simplify the fraction, but here we don't need to simplify the fraction. Okay, it cannot be simplified, so leave it alone. But in some cases, like the second example I'm going to show you, you have to simplify the fraction. Okay, so I hope so. We did step 1 and step 2 right here. So this was step 2, and then step 2 and step 3 together right here. Okay, so again, how do we divide complex numbers? So you always want to multiply the numerator and denominator by the complex conjugate of the denominator, of the divisor. Okay, you can also use the word divisor, which is the denominator. Okay, and then after that, you want to simplify and substitute I squared with negative 1. And again, if you need to simplify again, simplify and write in the form of a plus bi. Remember a, you can see the a and you can see the bi. You can see the real part and its imaginary part of the complex number. Okay, so now let me give you another example. Okay, so in this video, I would like you to follow the steps that I showed you earlier. Okay, so if you don't have the steps, here are the steps. Okay, so step 1, 2, and 3. Okay, please pause the video and write down the steps. Okay, to take a picture of it. So using the step, I want you to divide those two complex numbers. Okay, so please pause the video and divide. Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'm doing, say, I follow the steps. So by this time for the numerator, I multiply. Okay, I multiply using the distributive property instead of doing the box method. And for the denominator, I use the box method instead of using the distributive property. Okay, and now end up for the numerator, I end up dividing 13 minus 13i, and the denominator is 26. So I split it into two so you can see the real part and the imaginary part. However, I hope you can tell, okay, that this time around, we can simplify the fraction. Why? Okay, okay, 13 is divisible by 13 and as well as 26. Okay, so I am going to divide by 13 top and bottom. So the final answer, I don't have enough space to continue right here. So let me continue here. So is the final answer is going to be 1 over, because 13 goes into 13 one time, and 13 goes to 26 two times, minus the same should be 1/2 of I. And always write in the form of A plus BI, right? So the real part here is 1/2, and the imaginary part is negative 1/2 of I. Okay, so I hope my video was helpful to you. Okay, so you have a better now understanding how to divide complex numbers. And to divide complex numbers, you only have to use the complex conjugate of the denominator. Okay, and always replace I square. You always want to replace I square with -1. Replace I square with -1 and combine the like terms. So whatever term you can combine it, okay? Okay, and keep on combining until you have in the form of A plus BI. Okay, thank you for watching my video. Bye-bye, and see you next time.